Hello, welcome back to the breaking news update. My name is Jimmy Boyd, and you are watching Boyd News. I want to thank you so much for tuning in today. All right, so I've got another update coming out from the meeting that was held earlier between Volodymyr Zelensky, the president of Ukraine, U.S. President Donald Trump, and also J.D. Vance, the vice president of the United States. And we did an update video for you guys earlier letting you know that the talks did not go well. Now I want to bring you some of the post-meeting updates here and some of the headlines that are coming out regarding this topic. Okay, so we're going to go over some of the news here. U.S. pulls support for Ukraine's energy grid after disastrous meeting. State Department this week terminated a U.S. agency for international development initiative that has invested hundreds of millions of dollars to help restore Ukraine's energy grid. Now, I don't know if this has anything to do with the talks that were being held earlier, but it was interesting this information came out soon after the talks were concluded. Okay, so is this retaliation of the U.S. ending their support for Ukraine's power grid? As we know, their power grid right now has been utterly destroyed by the Russians due to all these missile attacks on numerous energy facilities in Ukraine. So it looks like Ukraine's going to be in very big trouble here very soon, as they're no longer going to have U.S. support to protect them and help reinvest and reconstruct their energy grid. Okay, so we'll talk about that, and we've got numerous other things I want to share with you guys. So let's hop on over here real quick to X. Here's the official report from Bliskovka. U.S. State Department ends support for restoring Ukraine's power grid, according to NBC News. Here's that report that came out today. State Department terminates U.S. support of Ukraine energy grid restoration. U.S. aid initiative has invested hundreds of millions of dollars in helping Ukraine's energy grid recover from attacks from Russia. Okay, so that's a very big report today. And now I ask the question, is this the beginning of U.S. and Ukrainian relations that are going to basically start to collapse? And are we going to see the U.S. continuously pull their support from Ukraine? This could potentially be the beginning of it, but we don't really know at this time. But that was a huge report just breaking today. Here's another headline from World Source News 24/7. Zelensky's appearance today at the Hudson Institute has been canceled. Okay, so pretty much everything he was doing today inside the U.S. has been canceled. I mean, the meeting with Trump was canceled. The press conference that was supposed to be held soon after was canceled. I do know he is going to be appearing on a Fox News interview here very soon. But as far as I know, that's about it. So we'll see if Trump and Zelensky meet up again here in the next couple days, but we don't know that information as of yet, okay? Now, also from Max 24, Zelensky has just finished speaking with Macron, who is Emmanuel Macron, the president of France, and is now speaking with NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte, according to the Financial Times, okay? So Zelensky reportedly making multiple phone calls, and we were wondering who he was calling. There were some reports stating that while he got into his motorcade, apparently he was making phone calls right away. So it looks like he did speak to Emmanuel Macron and also Mark Rutte, the NATO Secretary General. Here's another one from World Source News 24/7. Ukraine President Volodymyr Zelensky releases statement. Here was his statement on X today. Thank you, America. Thank you for your support. Thank you for this visit. Thank you, President of the United States, Congress, and the American people. Ukraine needs just and a lasting peace, and we are working exactly for that. Okay, so he did come out showing his support for the U.S. and thanking the U.S. for helping him out in this war and helping Ukraine as a whole as they continue to fight against Russia. All right, also from Max 24, the United States will not allow other countries to use it for their own interests, the White House said in a statement after Trump's dialogue with Zelensky. Immediately after the conflict, Trump gathered with his key advisors in the Oval Office where he consulted with Vance, Rubio, and Besant. It was then that Trump decided that Zelensky was not in the right place to negotiate and instructed Rubio and Waltz to deliver the message Zelensky should go. Zelensky and his team were not even allowed to eat lunch. Okay, so from what I understand, it looks like Zelensky and the Ukrainian delegation was completely kicked out of the White House due to this disastrous meeting. Okay, so we talked about this earlier. It just did not go good. Zelensky and Trump started heavily arguing. J.D. Vance got into it and was arguing with Zelensky as well. Trump and Zelensky both telling Trump and Vance, both telling Zelensky that he was being extremely disrespectful, and Trump felt disrespected. So it just did not go good at all. And this statement coming out from the White House, President Trump, VP Vance are standing up for Americans. Okay, so that was the report coming out from the White House today. Now from Bliskovka, Trump does not rule out the possibility of concluding a deal with Zelensky, according to Reuters, but postponing the meeting date depends on the Ukrainians. While Zelensky is still in the country, a White House representative said in an interview with the publication. Okay, so here's that report today. Trump felt disrespected by Zelensky, White House says. Trump felt disrespected by Zelensky's rhetoric and demeanor, a White House official told Reuters after the leaders' clash in the Oval Office. Trump is not ruling out an agreement with Zelensky, the official said, but it is up to Ukrainians to reschedule while Zelensky is still in the country. Okay, so apparently he's going to be there for at least a few more days, I'm assuming. And maybe they'll reschedule and they'll get back together. Maybe they'll have a less fiery conversation, I must add. And we'll see if maybe they can work out some sort of minerals deal soon. But we don't really know. Right now, it's just not looking good for U.S. and Ukrainian relations. It definitely created a major divide right now. And we'll just have to wait and see what happens here over the next couple days in response to that. Okay. Now from Ozen Defender. According to Fox News, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky is still set to be interviewed by them at 6 p.m. Eastern Time after the heated exchange between President Zelensky, U.S. President Donald J. Trump, and U.S. Vice President J.D. Vance at the White House. Okay, so we should be seeing Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky holding this interview with Fox News today, as apparently he was supposed to be doing that. So not everything's completely canceled. He will still be holding this interview with Fox News today, okay? Now from Max 24, Vance and Trump were initially preparing for a quarrel with Zelensky in order to put him in an even weaker position in negotiations, according to Financial Times. Yeah, so Financial Times put this out today. In a way, it's kind of what I was showing you guys earlier. If you watched my last video where we actually showed you the clips coming out from the conversation between Trump, Vance, and Zelensky, that it almost kind of seemed like it was a setup. You know, if you just watch it, it kind of seems that way, but we don't know for sure, but it looks like it. And Financial Times was coming out saying the same thing, basically, that maybe this was a trap that Zelensky fell into, and maybe this was going to put Zelensky in a weak position to negotiate against Russia. Who knows if that was the case, but Financial Times did report that today. Also from Ozen Defender again, according to White House officials who spoke to CBS News following the argument in the Oval Office between U.S. President Donald J. Trump, Vice President J.D. Vance, and Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky, Ukrainian delegation retreated into a nearby room where they were told they had to leave the White House by Secretary of State Marco Rubio and National Security Advisor Mike Waltz. Yeah, so apparently they walked out of the room soon after. That's when National Security Advisor Mike Waltz and U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio showed up, told the Ukrainian delegation along with Volodymyr Zelensky, it's time for you guys to go. The meeting was over. This was a picture coming out earlier showing this fiery conversation between Donald Trump and Zelensky. Okay, so it really did not go good today. It was very aggressive on both sides. Now from NOAA Reports, dear Ukrainian friends, you are not alone, Polish Prime Minister Tusk said after Zelensky's conversation with Donald Trump. Okay, so now we're going to show you a bunch of different prime ministers, presidents from Europe just coming out all over the place now in show of support. And Europe is definitely unified right now after this conversation with Donald Trump and Zelensky. So here's Donald Tusk coming out, the Prime Minister of Poland, okay, showing his support for Ukraine, letting them know that they're not alone. Here's another one from Friedrich Merz. Dear Vladimir Zelensky, we stand with Ukraine in good and in testing times. We must never confuse aggressor and victim in this terrible war, okay? It says FM. So this is Friedrich Merz, okay, the soon-to-be Chancellor of Germany, and we know he's very supportive of Volodymyr Zelensky in Ukraine, possibly even willing to send Taurus missiles to Ukraine at some point, as before the former Chancellor Olaf Scholz was not willing to do so. So he came out today showing his support for Ukraine. Here's Peter Pavel. We stand with Ukraine more than ever. Time for Europe to step up its efforts. Okay, this was the president of the Czech Republic. He came out today showing his support, also telling Europe they need to step up. All right, now from Max 24, this is Andriy Yermak, who's the head of the presidential office for Ukraine. He works right alongside Volodymyr Zelensky. He put out a statement on Telegram. Security is not just a word, this is life. This is a future without sirens, without loss, without fear for those we love, without real guarantees. War will return. She always returns to the place where they leave a chance for a new blow. The president fights for our country, for everyone who defends a just and lasting world, the supported president who defends the interests of our heroic people in every situation. Point. We are grateful to those who are close. For those who understand that, Ukraine is not just a point on the map. It is Minas Tirith, hopefully I'm saying that right, that keeps the world from evil. We are very grateful to all American people for their support. It is approaching the day when the war will only be a memory. Okay, so a statement coming out from Andrei Yermak today out of Ukraine. Now, also from Max 24, this is Annalena Baerbock, the foreign minister of Germany. Ukraine is not alone. Germany, together with our European allies, stands united alongside Ukraine and against the Russian aggression. Ukraine can build on unwavering support from Germany, Europe, and beyond. Their defense of democracy and their quest for peace and security is ours. Okay, so also Germany coming out once again, reaffirming their support for Ukraine. O's and technical series of Ukrainian allies have come out in the last hour with messages of support. Sweden came out. Prime Minister, Sweden stands with Ukraine. You are not only fighting for your freedom, but also for all of Europe. Slava Ukraini. Okay, so also Sweden coming out saying the same thing. Here's a statement from Emmanuel Macron, the president of France. Savchenko Vladimir reports the situation is this: there's an aggressor, it is Russia. There's a people, and I believe we are all right to support Ukraine and oppose Russia 3 years ago, and we should continue to do so, says Macron. And when I say we, I mean the United States of America, the Canadians, the Japanese, and many others, and that is how it should be. And we should thank everyone who helped. We should respect what is happening, those who are fighting for their independence, for their children, and for the security of Europe. Okay, that was a statement that came out from Emmanuel Macron today, live on television. Also from Bliskovka, Moldova President Maya Sandu expressed her support for Ukraine. So she came out also. Moldova, not even being a NATO member, but they're right next door to Ukraine. And she said, the truth is simple. Russia invaded Ukraine. Russia's the aggressor. Ukraine defends its freedom and ours. We stand with Ukraine. Okay, so huge statement coming out from Maya Sandu that she stands with Ukraine also. Here's another one from Nexta. Canada needs to be closer to Europe and the United Kingdom. Canada's Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Melanie Joly, said today, we are in security crisis, added Joly. Okay, so Canada being worried about what's going on in this situation, and she's coming out and saying, hey, maybe we can't side so much with the U.S. right now. We got to start siding with the United Kingdom and Europe and, form together a coalition and bond while maybe they can't, depend so much on the U.S. I mean, the U.S. has been attacking Canada a lot recently, calling on Justin Trudeau to join the United States and become the governor and no longer the prime minister of Canada, and also putting heavy tariffs on Canada recently, along with Mexico. So Canada feels threatened as well in terms of their security, and they feel like they might be on their own without U.S. support. Now from Kaja Kallis, Ukraine is Europe. We stand by Ukraine. We will step up our support to Ukraine so that they can continue to fight back the aggressor. Today, it became clear that the free world needs a new leader. It's up to us, Europeans, to take this challenge. Okay, she's the EU High Representative for Foreign Affairs and Security Policy, also the Vice President of the European Commission. Okay, that was a big statement from her today. Now, also from U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio, he posted on X today too. Thank you, President of the United States, for standing up for the America in a way that no president has ever had the courage to do before. Thank you for putting America first. America's with you. Okay, so thought it was interesting because I showed you guys the video clip earlier, and the U.S. Secretary of State, Marco Rubio was just sitting here while Trump was just grilling Zelenskyy, and this was kind of his face and his response. There was even a scene where somebody in the background was asking Zelenskyy why he doesn't wear a suit. And everybody just started laughing at that question, and Zelensky's trying to answer, and this was Marco Rubio's response. He basically just sat there with no look on his face and just straight face. So interesting. Does it really show in this picture here that he's supportive of Donald Trump? And when this whole argument was ongoing at the time, he was pretty much one of the only people here who didn't really have a look on his face. So it's interesting that he came out saying that on X today. All right, now I do want to show you guys a couple responses coming out from Russia as well, okay, just so you can see that side of the aisle. Vice Grad 24, Dmitry Medvedev, a brutal dressing down in the Oval Office. Trump told the cocaine clown the truth to his face. His regime plays with World War III. The ungrateful pig got a well-deserved slap from his masters. It's good, but not enough. We must stop military aid to the Nazi war machine. Okay, so that was a statement coming out for Dmitry Medvedev. And he's part of the Kremlin, okay? So, huge statement coming out from Dmitry Medvedev today, and a very aggressive statement, too. Now from Megatron Ron, breaking, the Russian Foreign Ministry spokeswoman, Maria Zakharova, on Zelenskyy, Trump situation, how Trump advanced restrained themselves and did not hit Zelensky is a miracle of restraint. Okay, so we can see very aggressive statements coming out from Russia after this conversation between Trump and Zelensky with Vance today as well. It looks like Russia taking advantage of the situation and using it to their benefit, and also responding to these talks. Okay. Finally, one last thing to share with you guys from ViceGrad24. If Europe is to remilitarize, it will have to reindustrialize first. That can't be done in a couple of months. For now, the Europeans are dependent on buying weapons from other parts of the world. Okay, so the reason why I want to show you this is because now that Europe is starting to realize maybe we're on our own. We're on our own. Okay, we don't have support from the U.S. anymore, and we've already been kind of seeing that the U.S. is slowly pulling away their support from Europe. Now it seems like they're pulling their support away from Ukraine, possibly even siding with Russia. That puts Europe at a great security risk. That's why so many emergency meetings have been held from top leaders from Europe recently. They're going to be holding another one here in just a couple days on Sunday. So Europe's very worried about this right now. And what happens, worst case scenario, something that I was thinking about is what if out of the blue very soon, let's say as soon as next week, U.S. comes out and says we're pulling away most of our support for Ukraine. What's going to happen here? Because now Ukraine's only going to be left holding the bag here and only with support from Europe. And what's going to happen if Ukraine does not receive U.S. weaponry anymore? Okay, they could be in a very tough position. And I think this could come down to the fact that if Zelensky does not agree to some sort of deal or something, maybe the U.S. might threaten to pull support, or who knows what's going to happen here. But at the moment, just because these talks, like what you see here on your screen, basically just exploded earlier and did not go well, we could really see anything happen from here on out. Okay, is U.S. and Ukrainian relations going to improve over the next 24 to 48 hours? Maybe they'll have another talk, and maybe they'll actually have a good, solid conversation and get some things done, and hopefully not turn into another argument like what we saw earlier today. But nonetheless, I mean, Ukraine is in a difficult position right now, and they're going to have to figure out what they're going to do if the U.S. decides, hey, we don't want to be a part of this no more. You're on your own, and Europe is the only thing to really back them. So Europe's waking up now, too, and they're realizing they're on their own, and they got to start stepping up their defense spending. We've been talking about that. So things are definitely going to change over here very quickly, and don't be surprised as soon as next week we hear some very big news and something changes to the point where maybe Ukraine realizes they're more on their own now too. So what will happen at that point? So I'm curious to know what you guys think about all this. Like, let me know what you're brainstorming. What are you thinking about this situation? What do you think is going to happen here? How's Ukraine going to deal with this? Are we still going to get a good solid end to this war? And is Ukraine going to get the security guarantees, or do you think it's going to go the other way around and U.S. going to pull support and Ukraine's going to be in trouble? You guys let me know what you think down below in the comment section. But that's going to be it for today's update. If you got something out of this, please smash that like button. Also, if you enjoy my content, please consider subscribing down below. Hit the notification bell. That way YouTube can notify you. And with that, hope you all have a great day. Everybody take care and God bless, and we'll see you in the next one.